In this episode, we're going to discuss why we're in the British Virgin Islands and the plans that we have for our show.
We're going to be taking a tour of the charter yacht Sea of Love. This is a wonderful catamaran sailed by her captain, Joe. Then we're going to have lunch aboard the famous Willy T's floating bar and restaurant.
After that, we'll be taking a look under the surface at the Sandy Ledges dive site and get an idea of the damages that can be done by poor boating practices.
Hi, I'm Carl.
Look at them apples, huh?
I'm Penny. I guess a yellow feather is good for catching a barracuda, and that's it.
And I'm Lacey. Knowing how isn't my job. I just drive the boat.
We're just three very ordinary people on an extraordinary adventure.
Come join our family as we travel the world by sailboat, exploring exotic locations, and become one of the travelers in paradise.
So we chose the British Virgin Islands because it's probably one of the largest sailing destinations, warm water sailing destinations in the world. In this trip down to the BVI, we had the pleasure of chartering a Lagoon 440 sailing catamaran. Now this is a captain-only charter, captained by our friend Joe. Well, hey folks, here we are in the beautiful British Virgin Islands, and we are aboard a luxury catamaran sailboat called Sea of Love. Now this makes for a great option for somebody wanting to come down and visit the British Virgin Islands and really see the best that the islands here have to offer. And we're here with our friend, Captain Joe. Joe runs the boat. It's a captain-only charter, and what that means is that when you come here and you go on the boat with Joe, Joe runs the boat. You don't need to know how to sail. You don't need to know how to run the boat. Joe takes care of all the operation of the boat. You can just sit here and relax. And in fact, you can even do a crew charter with Joe, which would include then a chef, not just a cook, but a chef. So you'll have all your meals prepared and cleaned up. The boat will be run for you. You can sit back here and relax on this beautiful sailing yacht and just have a great, wonderful vacation. So most people coming down here, what do they expect? What are your clients expecting when they come down and go on a charter?
Well, everyone who comes down here is looking for an outdoor vacation. You know, this is where you become intimate with the water, the sun, the surf, the breeze, and you love it. You know, you jump in the water, you go swimming, you play in the water, go to the beach, hang on the beach, hang on a boat. You love the sun, and you just watch the stress disappear. I watch, it's so funny, you know, people, when they first come on the boat, you know, you can see it in their faces, you know, that they're kind of like stressed, you know, that they're coming from tension, you know, and then after 3 days, you know, I start to see their faces just kind of relax, you know, start to relax, the lines just kind of start to disappear, and by the end of the week, you know, their faces are just relaxed, you know, and it's like, and you can tell that they had a good time, you know?
Oh yeah. So Joe, tell me a little bit about Sea of Love. How many people can she take care of?
Well, the boat has 4 staterooms, 4 heads, and it has 2 bow berths, so it's really comfortable, very comfortable with 6 guests and 2 of us for crew. Every stateroom has its own private head, own private bathroom.
And then what else does the boat have? You got the galley downstairs in what's called the
main salon.
The main salon, which is like a living room, is a big circular couch, and so we have 4 bedrooms and we have 4 bathrooms. And we've got the big living room, which is air conditioned, and the kitchen stuff. But then we also have the rear cockpit, which is kind of like a big back porch. It's got a big wraparound couch thing on it. And then you've got, on the boat, then there's the front area. There's these things called trampolines, which are these big areas up in the front that are like a mesh net. Lay out there and sunbathe if you want. And then what's that like seating area right in the front? What do they call that?
We call that a forward cockpit. Forward cockpit.
So you've got another area up there by the trampolines, the seating for 6 people, 4 people?
6 people across there, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that's kind of like a nice little intimate spot. So you've got the trampolines, you got the forward cockpit, you got the salon, you got the rear cockpit, and then you got up here, there's a fly bridge, and there's room here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people across.
Right. There's always a place on this boat where if you want to be in the sun, you can be in the sun. If you want to be in the shade, you can find shade.
And of course, on the back of the boat, the back of the boat has got access points called sugar scoops, they call it. And what it is, it's a staircase that you go down the back of the boat right into the water. There's staircases going down to the water's level, and then there's a ladder that drops in. So it makes it ideal for someone who wants to come down here and go snorkeling or scuba diving, because access in and off the back is really easy. And then something else we got to talk about. Then you also have hanging on the back, you've got a dinghy.
Right.
and you use that kind of like your car, don't you? Like this is your house and that's your car.
And we take people into the beach,
right?
If they want to go to a beach and it's a little too far to swim.
Okay. And if they want to go into the beach bars or something, you can use that to run them into the beach bars and stuff. Well, one of the things a lot of people can do when they're down here, Joe, if they're on the boat with you, is they can do what's known as rendezvous diving. And what rendezvous diving is that you can sit here in Anchorage at a beautiful spot like we are here in Great Harbor, and you've got great snorkeling right off the back of the boat, so you can do that. But those that want to go scuba diving, you can just call the dive shops. They'll bring their boat here to your boat, pick you up at this boat, and then take you to the various dive sites.
They'll bring all the gear, everything you need.
I tell you, if you want a really fantastic vacation, I don't mean just a good vacation. If you want a really fantastic vacation, you should come down here and try doing a charter boat. Chartering a boat is just completely different than any other kind of vacation that you would imagine. You know, most people think of going out on a charter or going on a boat, they think of a cruise ship. And you know, you can do that. But with Joe, you can pick where you want to go here on the island. You can pull into every little anchorage, you can hit every little spot. So the boat, when you charter a boat, it becomes both your home and your vehicle for getting around all at the same time. And it just makes for an incredible kind of vacation option. It's just something outside the mainstream. You're not just staying at a hotel, you're not just staying at a resort, you're actually staying out in the water. And talking about that, you know, when you stay at a resort, oftentimes you'll get a room at a resort, and you pay one price for the garden view room, and you pay another price for the water view room. Well, when you charter a boat with Joe, you are the water view. You've got all those people paying premium prices in the resorts looking at you because you're sitting out here on this beautiful yacht. So if you really want to have a spectacular vacation, a spectacular time, come down here to the BVI, call up our friend Joe. You're going to see his website and phone number here on the screen. Call up our friend Joe or email Joe down here in the BVI. Come down here and just have the vacation of a lifetime. Joe, I really want to thank you so much for providing us with just a great trip here with you.
Thank you. Pleased to have you along.
Well, thanks.
Coming up, we dive at Sandy Ledge's dive site and visit the world-famous floating restaurant, the Willy T's.
Travelers in Paradise is brought to you by
Equinox, because the only thing that should get wet is you. Sea of Love, Captain BVI Yacht Charter.
Stay tuned. Travelers in Paradise will be right back.
Do you like to vacation at waterfront resorts? Do you like to swim? Want to look out at the water and see all the pretty sailboats? Well, stop looking and start doing. On Sea of Love, you are the view. Let this gorgeous sailing catamaran be the place you stay on your next vacation. Jump right off the decks and into pristine, crystal clear, 82-degree water chock full of pretty fishes and places to explore. Make Sea of Love your next vacation choice.
Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise.
Norman Island in the British Virgin Islands has had a long and storied pirate history. Not only is it the spot where some treasure was buried and later on recovered, but they've also used the beaches there to barbecue in the original boucanier style of cooking, which is what we now call barbecue. One of the more interesting things, icons, I guess you could say, at the Bight there on Norman Island is a place called the Willy T's. This is a floating beach bar that's been there quite some time, for years. In fact, the original Willy T was a 1935 Baltic trader, which back in 1995 got a hole in her bottom and she sank. So Ewan Anderson and his father-in-law, they ended up going to Florida and they bought a new boat, a steel-hulled boat this time, and it wasn't long before they had it at the Bight on anchor and putting up some really good food and beverages. Probably the coldest beer in the Bight.
Now the Willy T, it gets its name from Dr. William Thornton, who was actually born on Jost Van Dyke. Most of you will probably recognize William Thornton as the guy who designed the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
Oh, you probably won't recognize it because who would know that kind of stuff?
Well, I would.
You would. Yes, you would. Yeah, William Thornton was sort of an interesting character. He was heir apparent to half of a sugar plantation there in the British Virgin Islands, and he also owned 70 slaves. Now, later in life, he became a leader in the abolitionist party and the abolitionist movement in America. He had actually given away all of his slaves and set them free, and was a leader in stopping the slavery industry. But it's interesting that early on in his life, that is how he made his money.
Well, here we are on the infamous Willy T's, the famous floating bar in Bight on Norman Island and the BVI. And I am here with Simon.
How you doing, guys?
Simon's the head bartender with 6 years?
6 years, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so the Willy T's, this place has been here for...
Nearly 24 years now?
24 years, institution, well-known, world over, well-known, okay. You've been here 6. Tell me the history of, before we talk about the boat, tell me the history of William Thornton. Who was he? What did he do? Why is his boat named after him?
I have no idea. You're asking me.
No idea, okay.
You already know this.
All right, so you don't know the history of the man, so tell me the history of the boat. What do you know about the Willy T?
Oh, it's been here a long time, and it's
24 years.
Yeah, and it's a place where people know they can come. I think just do pretty much whatever they like, as long as they don't annoy anyone else. They can get on and do what they like. You've got to come check it out. I heard from so many different people before I came here about stories about people getting naked and running around and things, but you can't really experience it without coming here.
Yeah, you got to see it firsthand.
Oh, you've got to.
Yeah, we can't show that on TV.
No, there we go.
We're on the Bight here on Norman Island. What else is there to do here in the area? I mean, besides come here, we have lunch. And what's your signature dish?
Oh, conch fritters and a mahi sandwich.
Conch fritters and a mahi sandwich.
Yeah,
okay.
that's probably the favorite.
We're going to have that for lunch. That'll be awesome. We come here, we have lunch, we have a drink, then what do we do?
Well, there's a couple of really great snorkeling sites. There's one just around the corner called the Caves, which is very popular.
Okay.
Very famous because it was some guys over in St. Thomas actually found treasure over there years and years ago. The island itself is known because it's the inspiration for Treasure Island.
That's what I understood, yeah. Robert Louis Stevenson.
You've got the other famous snorkeling site, the Indians, just over there as well.
Straight outside the Bight here.
And it's a great anchorage. You know, pretty much whatever the weather is, with the trade winds always coming out the east, you've always got shelter in here.
Yeah.
So it's a good, safe anchorage. There's good mooring balls, good holding for anchoring.
How do people get here?
Most people, they either charter a boat themselves, like a yacht, and they come sailing around the BVIs for a week, which is a great idea, you know. 30-odd islands. Or we get a lot of cruise ship guests coming in from the USVIs. They'll hire a captain day boat, and they'll come across in a power boat, and they'll do a quick zip round.
So if somebody's like on a cruise ship, and they come into St. Thomas,
they can jump
get
on
a boat to run them over here.
Yeah, ocean run.
Because you're not going to get a taxi here. You're not going to drive over here and park your car out front. And
which makes it a little bit more, it almost feels a bit more exclusive when you have to make an effort to get here. You've got to be a boat.
It's kind of a cool concept. You're not going to find anything like this in the States.
No. You don't get people strolling in off the street sort of thing. You've got to want to come to the Willy T to get here. And so therefore you get people who come here for the right reasons. They want to have a party, they want to have some good food, good drinks, and have a good time. So, and everyone's up for the same thing, and there's no separation. You know, you get such a diverse crowd on board. Everyone's welcome. Everyone feels welcome when they get here. You know, and it's good. You see, to see the mixture of people we have on board sometimes is good.
Well, they all have the same goal in mind, right? Come here, have a good time, and do some drinking. You know, have a good time.
So everyone's on a level, you know.
Oh yeah, they're all on the same point. Okay, so here we are on Willy T's having a wonderful time. This is one of the few bars in the world that you cannot drive to. You have to come by boat. It's the only way to get here. Our personal recommendation is to sail up on a nice catamaran rental like we did this trip. But, you know, you can charter a boat. You can see there's big power boats all around here. There's plenty of people that give you a ride out here. There's a water taxi, I understand, that can run you out here.
Of sorts,
the ferry docks and stuff. So come on out, have a good time, relax, drink a beer or 2 or 20. And
yeah, we'll see you when you get here.
There you go. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much.
All right, take care.
Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be diving at sandy ledges.
Stay tuned. Travelers in Paradise will be right back.
The cast and crew at Travelers in Paradise would like to invite you to join us on our next adventure. Sign up for our next On the Set scuba diving vacation. Become part of the crew as we tape episodes for Travelers in Paradise. This unique vacation experience allows you to get a behind-the-scenes look at what a real television production is all about. Join in our dives, tours, and travels as one of our crew or just tag along for the fun. Check out our website and join us for our next On the Set scuba diving vacation.
Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise.
In the BVIs, there are mooring balls everywhere for you to tie up to, and there are certain rules when you tie up to a mooring ball. For instance, there's different colors on the mooring balls that indicate what use they're supposed to be for. Also, there's marine sanctuaries down here, and you cannot stay overnight on the mooring balls in marine sanctuaries.
We decided to grab a mooring ball one night, and we decided to stay over at Sandy Ledges. This is a interesting little convenience site. It's right next to the caves outside on the south shore of Norman Island, but it's really convenient to the Indians, which is the dive site we were going to dive the next day. And we were really shocked and disappointed with what we found in the water.
As soon as we jumped in, we noticed that there was evidence everywhere that this was once a really nice, big, mature, pristine coral reef, and now it was just all dead. There was some little juvenile fish, but all the coral was dead, covered in algae. It was pretty sad.
It was sad. What was interesting is that all the coral was still there. I mean, the physical structure was there.
And if it was a hurricane, the hurricane would have broken all the coral, so it hadn't been hurricane damage.
Yeah, it wasn't a hurricane damage. It was just the coral was there, it was just dead. It had no life on it. Now, we've actually seen this before.
In places where there's a lot of fertilizer use. The fertilizers get washed into the water, agricultural runoff, rainwater runoff, and the nitrogens in the fertilizer will kill the coral and cause the algae to bloom.
Well, that's how it kills the coral. The nitrogen added to the soil, it's just like your yard. You put nitrogen down to make your grass grow. But when you do that to the ocean, it makes the algae grow, and when that algae grows, what does it do to the coral? It kills the coral, and there's some bad algae out there, isn't there?
Yeah. Some algae can actually release neurotoxins into the water, which will kill fish and birds, and all algae will actually take down the oxygen levels in the water, and fish need the oxygen to be able to breathe.
Well, that's right, and that's what we decided had happened here. There wasn't any evidence of any kind of agricultural activity there on the island. There's certainly no golf courses, there's no houses on there, there's no farming going on. So the only way nitrogen could have been introduced was actually from the yachts, from the charter boats that came there and grabbed the mooring balls. And of course, you know, you have boats every night grabbing the same mooring ball night after night after night, and they're all there flushing their toilets. So you're kind of concentrating a large amount of nitrogen in that one area.
Well, this is brought on by the fact that a lot of people don't use their holding tanks.
And how simple it would be to fix that.
Yep, it's usually just a little switch you have to flip, and suddenly you'll be pumping into your holding tank instead, and then you just pump your holding tank out when you get back to the dock. But a lot of people don't do that, and so every time they wash dishes, take a shower, flush a toilet, all that water gets flushed directly from their boat into the water.
And that's exactly what we determined was the cause here. So, you know, no one was doing anything mean, nasty. There was no big industry to blame here. It was just simple, you know, not paying attention. So when you're going to go charter a boat, if you're buying your own sailboat, make sure you've got a good holding tank, make sure your plumbing's working correctly. And actually, if you can, they have these new systems, these new waste management systems, like the Electro Scan, that actually breaks down the effluent. It uses an electrical charge, so it takes salt water in from the ocean, clean salt water. It electronically breaks down the molecules. And you know the chemist, Lacey, what's the breakdown?
Salt in the salt water, it contains chlorine and sodium.
Sodium, so it separates the chlorine from the sodium. And then it uses that chlorine, which as I understand is 30 times more powerful than you like your bottles of Clorox. It separates that chlorine, it uses that to then clean all the effluent that goes through the Electro Scan unit. And then it bonds that chlorine back to the sodium.
Then when it pumps it all out, you're just returning the salt water, and now your waste is completely sterilized, so it's not going to be damaging the reef.
And these are a great little system you can add on your boat. They can be powered by a solar panel. So not only are you not polluting the water, but you're not burning any fossil fuels. They're just a really cool system.
And they don't add any chemicals, so you don't have to worry about chemical runoff from your boat, and they're pretty affordable. What'd you say they are?
About $2,000 to buy one and have it installed in your boat. So it's a really nice system. So if you're gonna go out and charter a sailboat, think about this coral reef that we're looking at here at Sandy Ledges. Look how much different this coral reef is than, say, over at the Indians, which is not that far away, but yet it's a place where it's a national park sanctuary. You're not allowed to be there overnight. Here you're allowed to be overnight. It's just a simple matter of just not pumping your waste over.
Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll show you just what a little bit of conservation can do. Stay tuned. Travelers in Paradise will be right back. Welcome back to Travelers in Paradise.
The reef here at the Indians is not an overnight spot. You can't stay on the mooring balls for overnight. You can just see how much more protected it stays. You can see all of these soft corals, the plant life, all of these fish. It's just a night and day difference from the corals and the anchorages being exposed to all the sewage. Here at the BVI National Park Trust Marine Sanctuary, you can really see all the soft corals, plant life, and the huge variety of fish. You will notice here that there are healthy coral and lots of sea fans and corals and trinicates that all look like they're thriving. Clearly, this area is a nursery for all kinds of fish species. We can see brown and blue chromis, yellow-faced blueheads, bicolored damselfish, juvenile princess parrotfish, and blue tangs. In fact, there's just too many to name them all. There are also sea rods and sea plumes, all kinds of gorgonians, but what you don't see is hardly any algae or diseased corals in this area. You also do not see many sea cucumbers or even sea urchins, as those species feed on the algae. So please be considerate of this the next time you charter or are on a boat.